Hello, everyone. Today, I'd like to address a heavy but important topic, the issue of suicide. This isn't a recent phenomenon, but has become a significant problem in our society. Within the church community, two critical questions are often raised. First, is suicide a sin? Second, if someone who believed in Jesus was baptized and attended church commits suicide, do they lose their salvation and go to hell? How much pain must someone be in to choose suicide? Many people say that those who commit suicide go to hell, but this is a mistaken belief without biblical foundation. Nowhere in the Bible does it explicitly state that suicide leads to hell. Let me share an important truth. Not a single person has actually gone to hell yet. According to the book of Revelation, hell hasn't even opened its doors. The first to enter hell will be the Antichrist and the false prophet, and even they will be thrown into the lake of fire alive only after Jesus' second coming. Even the most evil people in history, Emperor Nero, King Herod, Hitler, haven't gone to hell yet. If someone is destined not to be saved, they currently remain in Hades as prisoners awaiting trial, and will only go to hell after the final judgment at the end of the millennial kingdom. Suicide isn't a modern problem. It's recorded even in ancient biblical accounts. Notable biblical figures who chose suicide include Ahithophel, King Saul, and Judas Iscariot. These weren't particularly good people. However, when we look at those who commit suicide in our society today, many cannot simply be labeled as evil. Can we answer whether suicide is a sin? Looking at God's commands to humanity, there are essentially three major ones. First, there's the command to preserve life. Live. Second, there's the command regarding our mission, what to live for. Third, there's the command regarding how to live, following God's commandments. When God breathed life into us, the most fundamental and primary command was live. Someone who chooses suicide fundamentally disobeys this first command. Rather than being purely a personal choice, suicide often involves spiritual warfare, the temptation of evil forces. We know that with Judas Iscariot, Satan captured his thoughts, led him to betray Jesus, then tormented him with guilt, and drove him to suicide. Judas followed the devil's will and chose death. God commands us to live, while evil spirits always urge death. People can either follow God's will and live earnestly, or follow the devil's will in life, and ultimately in death as well. Suicide ultimately represents obedience to the devil's will while rebelling against God's will. The three basic elements of faith are faith, hope, and love. Let's think rationally. Does someone choosing suicide have faith that trusts in God? Do they have hope in heaven or love for their neighbors and family? If someone truly trusted God and had love for their family and those around them, could they really choose death? This can be seen as violating God's commands to live, to fulfill our mission, and to follow His commandments. There's no biblical basis to definitively claim whether such a person can or cannot go to heaven. However, would God grant eternal life to someone who couldn't endure this short earthly life and chose to give up midway? This is something worth deep consideration. Yet many cases that appear to be suicide are actually what we might call social murder. Our society bears collective responsibility. How did we become a society where poor people cannot survive? Many people are driven to suicide because of predatory lenders. These lenders target vulnerable people with high-interest loans, and if payments are delayed even a day or two, they tighten the noose with even higher interest rates. This is the reality of our society. Whether it's the government, local authorities, or churches, we must build social safety nets to prevent people from choosing suicide. In America, banks thoroughly verify whether borrowers have the ability to repay before lending. In Japan, loan officers carefully review customers' business prospects before lending, then actively provide guidance to help businesses succeed. Even if businesses fail, banks take responsibility for losses and don't drive people to death over debt. They have safety nets in place. Churches also bear responsibility. Carelessly saying that someone who committed suicide didn't believe in Jesus and therefore went to hell draws condemnation from all of society. As I mentioned earlier, when people die, they go to paradise or Hades, and we humans on Earth cannot know exactly where someone is. The final decision will only come after Jesus returns, and the final judgment takes place. What's important is that we shouldn't live in a way that makes suicide seem like the only option. Living in such a way that suicide becomes the conclusion is wrong. Many people take on unreasonable burdens beyond their means and become overwhelmed or get into debt through unfortunate circumstances and are tormented by predatory lenders until they choose suicide. We must build social safety nets so that no one chooses suicide. Predatory lending should be eliminated by law, and we must create systems to help those in difficulty. Most importantly, churches must pay more attention to this issue. Churches should value and love life even more than governments do. With so many people choosing death daily, churches should be the most heartbroken and actively analyze this problem. Since this can be viewed as social murder or as the result of evil spiritual influences, our churches must take greater responsibility in caring for and watching over our neighbors. Life is a precious gift from God. No matter how difficult things get, please don't even consider suicide. Being born and living in this world may seem insignificant, but think about it carefully. Consider your mother's labor pains bringing you into the world, her devoted care in raising you, and all the effort and care from those around you. When you really think about it, we all live by the grace of countless others. We've received grace from so many people. Throwing away all this grace in a single moment is not right. The devil urges us to die, but God commands us to live. Please live with faith, hope, and love. And I ask in the Lord's name that we all participate together in creating a society that values life. If anyone is facing a suicide crisis, please don't endure it alone. Reach out and ask for help. Please make that call. That's all for today. Thank you.